Hello, friends. Come on in. We'll let people stream in. Welcome, everybody. I hope it's lovely where you're at today. It's a bit gloomy where I am. I am off-site in Sacramento and saw a bunch of you friends just yesterday. It was so nice to be with you all. Let's give it just a few seconds for folks to stream on in. We have we just can't stop from having an action-packed learn these days because there's a lot going on. So it's our 10th, no, it's February 10th. It's our 49th learn. And we're just happy you all continue to come back. I'm Angie Hacker. I'm the Statewide Best Practices Coordinator for the California Climate and Energy Collaborative, joined today by folks on the team, Kelsey and Rochelle. They can help you with anything that you need. And let's go ahead and hop in. Okay, so as always, these are 1 hour interactive meetings designed to be a regular space where local governments and their friends can help each other learn about possible opportunities that can help you advance your energy and climate goals. And sometimes we get a chance to even inform those opportunities. Today, we're going to have our normal standard kind of agenda, but we've got quite a few items to bring to your attention that can help you along in your work. So we're going to brief you on those. We have a spotlight from folks at California Forward who want to tell you about their Resilience District Incubator. They have a call for proposals out right now. It's really interesting. It just came out. I was like, we need to hear about that. Folks, our friends at the Building Decarbonization Coalition are going to tell us about their work on a heat pump week. And we'll also hear a short spotlight on a recently released funding solicitation for Strategic Growth Council's factory-built housing, round 3, which really recently hit the streets. Our main topic of the day is going to be our friends at Bayren, who are going to talk to us about their newly launched, or at least soft-launched, statewide home energy score program. So that's what's in store for today. Let's get into the roundtable. Okay, so I'm trying to be quick today because I want to give lots of time for our speakers, but there are some things I wanted to bring to your attention. This is our messy hyperlink cheat sheet. You're going to see links in the chat, and all of this will become available by email, including our slides after the learn today. So we're going to highlight just the yellow opportunities that are here on your screen. The blue ones are those that will be spotlighted a little bit later on in the program. So let's talk a little bit about some funding opportunities. I think this one's been the talk of the town. This CSCI, it's the 2026 Climate Smart Communities Initiative. This one has about another month left until it's due. It provides funding and technical assistance to advance community-based climate resilience in U.S. communities or regions, so it's not just California. They have about $2 million available total, but the typical grants, they say, range from $75,000 to $115,000 based on the scope of work. They are anticipating awarding between 16 and 20 grants, and the program is prioritizing funding for communities that include historically disinvested populations. And so you do have to pick one of their online climate adaptation practitioners that are sort of in their system. So I wanted to raise it to your attention. I know a lot of you are, maybe you're not the resilience or adaptation person, but you might be, or you might know the person who might be working on a adaptation planning or implementation project. Another one to bring to your attention is from the California Energy Commission. So this is a California National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Formula Program. It's the third solicitation. It's coming due on March 25th, so a little time left. And the goal of this one is to fund deployment of electric vehicle charging stations with publicly accessible, high-powered, direct current fast chargers to support light-duty EV travel along major corridors of California. So yes, you have till March 25th for that, for those of you working on EV charging. We will get a spotlight here in a minute on the factory-built housing program. And I did want to, and we'll get the spotlight on the Resilience District Incubator here in just a moment. I did want to raise for you all just a few input opportunities that I think are really important and are out right now. A couple of them are from the California Energy Commission. So our friends have been working hard on a couple of really major reports. And they've had, maybe, I know the Building Energy Action Plan under the California Energy Commission has recently gone through the governor's office review and is now out for public comment, which is coming due. Oh, Gabriel, you're here. Hey, do you want to say a 30-second word about that?
Sure, I can. Sorry, I thought you were covering it just fine. I was just celebrating. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. It's due February 20th. Did I get that now right?
I
No.
believe so, yes.
That one's due February 20th. Um, And I'm going to be I'm going to submit what we already know through our SLEEK program, submitting the report that we've drafted. But I would really encourage anybody else who wants to submit. I have heard from folks that have looked deeply at this report that it actually is really good and kind of hits the nails. So, congrats to Gabe and his team on that.
Thanks so much. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
so this report was delayed more than usual. So this is a series of reports that the Energy Commission's been preparing for well over a decade now at the legislature's request. It's a kind of a broad look at building energy policy. It's intended to be a roadmap for improving energy efficiency in buildings, decarbonizing buildings, et cetera, reducing cost of energy services. This edition of the report has been delayed a little bit, so it might be a little dated. So any input that you have would be very much appreciated. And we're already starting thinking about our next iteration of this report.
Cool. Well, I'm trying to co-opt Gabe to come join us at a Sleek meeting and share more about it. So, more on that. And then the SB 100 Joint Agency Report draft results have also been recently released. And there is a workshop, a hybrid workshop. So you can come in person here, I think in Sacramento, or go online on February 19th to hear those results and provide some input. It's like an all-day workshops. So SB 100 is an important report that's between PUC, CEC, I think CAISO as well, to try to direct us on how we're actually going to meet our clean energy goals. And it does a load, it does a load analysis. And so it's interesting. Those of you that are interested in that kind of report, it's February 19th to get a long day exposure to it. A couple of more things I wanted to share. CPUC, you've been hearing about the SB 1221, right? This is that zonal decarbonization or neighborhood decarbonization or neighborhood electrification or neighborhood based, whatever we're calling it. It's a pilot. And so they're working on implementation. There's a fact sheet out right now, and there's also a workshop coming up. And they wanted me to make sure you knew about these things because they really are still looking for locals to participate in this process, and that would be on February 26th. So we'll make sure you get the link to that. And then for those of you that are on our SLEEK meeting, State and Local Energy and Climate Coordination, our next meeting's coming up on March 5th, where we're going to continue plugging away at our working group topics and our big 3 priorities of the year, which is right in the pocket of all the folks on this call. All right, that was my high level overview, and now I'm excited to start passing over to, I believe, our first spotlight. So Taylor, do we see you here?
Yes, I am here. Would you mind terribly if I share my screen?
I think that's probably a good idea.
Okay, perfect. Wonderful. I should.
I'll
Great.
just give you the intro, which is Taylor used to be at iBank, and now she's over at California Forward, but she's our friend, and she's here to talk about the Resilience District Incubator.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of joining this call a few years ago to talk through some of the green banking programs we were standing up at iBank. So great to see you all again. As Angie mentioned, my name is Taylor. I'm a project manager at a statewide think and do tank, as we like to call it, California Forward. I work on our fiscal resilience program, so working with communities to address the economic and public budget impacts of climate change. And through this work, we've been developing and just released our Resilience District Incubator in partnership with a nonprofit that some of you may have heard of, Resilient Cities Catalyst, as well as the Connecticut Green Bank. I'm here today to announce our call for pilots, and I only have a quick time, so this will be like a very quick overview, but I remain at your disposal for any questions, and we'll leave my email after the update. So we are seeking to work with 2 to 3 pilot communities in California this year. through a facilitated curriculum, expert advisory group, and national learning network to explore the development of resilience districts in their community. Resilience districts are a special district model passed back in 2022 that many of you may have heard of. I feel like there was a lot of buzz around them. That actually was the origin of our interest in standing up the incubator, because they were designed to be a tool to support planning and community engagement in resilience planning efforts, and to kind of translate a lot of the planning we've done over the last few years into the implementation of projects through sustained funding and financing streams. However, since 2022, despite a lot of buzz, there hasn't been a ton of movement. So we set out last year to talk to communities and experts across the state to really think about ways we could support in the continued exploration and potential scaling of the model. And from that, we designed the incubator. So as I mentioned, it kind of contains three core components. So bespoke technical assistance for our pilot communities, a national learning network connecting the California pilot communities and pilot communities in Connecticut, which recently passed a very similar statute to our Resilience District model, and an advisory group kind of bringing in experts from insurance, public and private finance, risk modeling to really maximize the benefits of district design in the early stage towards some of the outcomes we've heard most from communities they're looking for. And pilot communities will work with us kind of through 2026 and wrap up 2026 with a roadmap that we've worked to develop with them that outlines kind of the outcomes of our shared curriculum we've worked throughout the year, but then also next steps in resilience district implementation that they can hopefully bring to decision makers, folks across their organization to talk about, like, here's what we've been working to design and what the next steps would be if we wanted to move it forward. And we have a statement of intent form out that we've been we've interested communities have begun kind of providing insight and submitting their responses. We have a priority deadline of February 20th, but there's a lot of room to be flexible on that. So we'll review applications on a rolling basis after that deadline. So I know I'm speaking to you all on February 10th, so it's a quick turnaround. But as I mentioned, I'll drop my email in the chat. Always happy to talk about this, answer any questions, or generally hear about your exploration into resilience districts and maybe where the sticking points have been. So all super helpful. And I will include all the links and stuff in the chat and close down my screen share so we can continue the agenda, because I know we're on a quick timeline.
Thank you, Taylor. Really great. I'm glad you got to kind of expose this group to that. If we can be of any other help, making sure your great program gets in the right hands, let us know. In between our next speaker, I just want to make sure I've got my friends at the PUC giving me some important clarifications on the workshop. Actually, Hope or Maria, do you want to chime in really quick, 30 seconds, just to give us the right information on the workshops coming? Maybe I was putting you on the spot too much. I'm hearing CPUC is offering.
Hi, Angie. It's Hope. Sorry, I couldn't find my mute button. I apologize. The CPUC's webinar is something that we're holding ahead of the utilities that are required to put on these workshops. And ours is going to just be an informational session on what the program is about. And it'll be a big Q&A session. We're going to spend most of the time allowing people to ask questions that they haven't had answers to so that we can prepare them for this.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. So if you want to go to the PUC one, that is coming up, you said this week on the 12th. And then if you want to attend the utilities one, that's coming up later on. So this is all on the 12/21 zonal decarbonization program. Thank you for clarifying. Okay. And yes, to the folks in the chat, we are definitely getting you all of this materials afterwards. So if you're registered for LERN, you get all the materials afterwards. All right, we're going to head over to our next speaker. So we're very fortunate to be joined by our friend Lawrence from the Building Decarbonization Coalition, who wants to share with you about Heat Pump Week. Take it away, Lawrence.
Thank you, Angie. Hey, everyone. Nice to see many of you again, and to see many familiar faces and friends here on this call. My name is Lawrence Garber, and I work with the Building Decarbonization Coalition, who is helping to support the California Heat Pump Partnership in launching California's first ever Heat Pump Week. That's happening April 11th through 19th. So really excited to share information with you all today. Got about 10 minutes to be speaking with you all, so I'm going to be running through some of these slides, and I'll note that the slides will also be shared with you in advance. So my goal was to get a lot of information on this slide deck, more information that I'm going to cover today that will be materials for you all to have at your disposal. And I think I'll just say, my takeaway message up front is this link in the chat. So I'll put that there and I'll be speaking to it in a moment. But my goal of this conversation over the next 10 minutes, I'm hopeful that you all will learn about Heat Pump Week's goals, how you all can participate, how you can access free resources, including outreach materials, planning tools, and implementation support. And most importantly, how you can get involved with, as I said, California's first ever Heat Pump Week, April 11th through 19th. And the link to get involved, which I'll be mentioning a number of times, is there in the chat. So next slide, please. Oh, and I should say I'm joined by my colleague, Maricela Dumlau, who leads BDC's events. That's also here to answer any questions in the chat. Yeah, Catherine, thank you for noting that it's right next to San Francisco's Climate Week, April 18th through the 26th. So lots of opportunities to cross over and pair events. So essentially, the overview of this deck is that there are kind of two buckets of categories that we'll be describing today, one of which are Heat Pump Week's events. And that includes the tools and toolkits that you all can take advantage of for free. If you already have some events, for example, at San Francisco Climate Week and LA Climate Week, exactly, Maricela. So our hope is that that you all will be able to utilize these tools that we're providing here for the events that are kind of already taking place. And then secondly, we have a bunch of marketing resources that I'll walk through briefly today, but again, much of these materials will be made available to you such that we can follow up if you have any further questions. So next slide. And so here's a quick overview. Really the purpose of Heat Pump Week is to create a big wave of awareness across the state through this event, through these events, and through this media campaign to show folks across the state that heat pumps have arrived and they cannot be ignored. And we're bringing everyone across the state to focus attention on this technology, on what's going on, and also wanted to recognize the hard work of many of you all, local governments and those that support local government staff, and really uplift the work that you all are already doing to increase awareness for contractors and consumers about heat pumps across the state. And next slide. So the 4 brands that are involved with Heat Pump Week include, as I mentioned, the California Heat Pump Partnership, and they are the entity that is sponsoring Heat Pump Week. So the Heat Pump Partnership is a public-private partnership between state energy agencies, manufacturers, and retailers of heat pumps that are helping to get the word out about heat pumps, and in particular to meet Governor Newsom's goal of installing 6 million heat pumps across the state. You all, I imagine, are familiar with the Switches On. That's the statewide program that hosts the Incentive Finder tool and the Contractor Finder tool. And this is, the state of California's chosen platform, again, for raising awareness about heat pumps. Next, you'll see the sticker here on the screen. That's the Heat Pump Week sticker that can be added to all the activities that are happening during Heat Pump Week. And then finally, behind the scenes, the Building Decarbonization Coalition, the organization that I work for, is sort of coordinating and facilitating across all of these, the various events that are happening. And so, again, as I mentioned, kind of 2 buckets of events, and I'll sort of move quickly through this material. I'm not going to cover everything today, But my hope is, again, by the end of today, that you'll just have a flavor of what Heat Pump Week is. You'll know how to access my email, which I just put in the chat, and you'll also know how to get involved, which is that link that I just put in the chat there if this piques your interest. So quickly, I'll talk through these three kind of buckets of events that we're thinking about that folks can get involved with. One is our flagship events. We have a whole series of workforce events and community events. Next slide. So I'll just breeze quickly through these just to note that there are going to be some kind of our flagship events that are happening in the Bay Area, Sacramento, and Los Angeles. Next slide. And we'll just do one more. Next slide, please, Kelsey. Great. And so this series, this kind of bucket of events, the workforce events, are meant to celebrate and activate the contractor community. So just flagging here that if you work with the contractor community, really invite you to use that link in the chat to let us know about any workforce events that you already have planned, such that you can utilize the free and existing Heat Pump Week resources and collateral that we have. Next slide. And then community events. There's kind of, we know that, especially, San Francisco Climate Week has been mentioned, LA Climate Week has been mentioned. We know that Earth Day is right around Heat Pump Week. There are a ton of community events that you all are already leading, already planning. Our goal is to meet you where you're at with these free materials and free resources so that you can, really to make your job easier. So we've got free collateral, free marketing materials at your disposal. And I'll just note here, because we've gotten the question several times, Heat Pump Week is April 11th through 19th, but maybe you have a community event a week or two before. You can still use that Heat Pump Week logo, and you could frame it as, we're getting excited for Heat Pump Week that's coming, right? And start to get the ball rolling maybe in early April. Similarly, if if you have an event, on Earth Day, for example, a couple of days after, you can say, this event, we're keeping the ball rolling, keeping the energy going about Heat Pump Week, right? And you can please do feel free to use this branding for kind of the shoulder events pre and post Heat Pump Week. So next slide. And again, rolling through this really quickly because I know I've got about 2 more minutes here to wrap up. But I'll just note that in this slide deck that you'll have access to, all of those hyperlinks take you to those collateral materials that you'll be able to use. And we again ask that if you are interested in getting involved, that you check out the link in the chat and let us know. So next slide. And what I might do is just like end here with a marketing overview, and then we'll see if there are any questions in the chat. And so essentially, in addition to the events that I've been talking about, we are also encouraging partners to use the assets of a statewide campaign that's actually starting even now to promote heat pumps, and that's all going to be happening through the Switches On, which is going to cross-promote Heat Pump Week activity. We want to amplify your stories of things that you're already doing. We want to gather your testimonials. We want to create a bunch of user-generated content using the hashtag Heat Pump Week CA that we'll be using to identify all of the awesome work that you all are already doing out there in the state. So maybe if we just jump to the very last slide. And just to say that these are your contacts. Please feel free to reach out to me at the top there if you're like, if you just want one person to connect with about this, and you can feel free to follow up with me directly. There's my email there, and I'll be happy to connect you with folks. If any of this presentation was interesting to you, please do reach out to me, and we can get you the resources that you're looking for. So I'll close it here and send it back to you, Angie.
Thank you, Lawrence. I'm seeing some excitement. I think this is super cool. We're happy at Civic Well and seek to, to share this kind of material as well. I think you're getting some takers in the chat. So why don't we have continued conversation about that go on in the chat while we get to our next speaker. And if we need to take the conversation into overtime when our final speaker is done, we can. All right, we have Sean Kennedy here, who's going to give us a quick update on the factory-built housing program that just hit the streets.
Thanks, Angie. Hi, everyone. I'm Sean Kennedy with the Strategic Growth Council. Just wanted to announce that our factory-built housing pilot program, the notice of funding availability was released just last week. Applications will be open shortly and due May 5th. This factory-built housing, for anyone not familiar, essentially building entire housing units, modular housing, or factory-built housing components that can really speed up the construction of housing, but also has really exciting opportunities from a climate standpoint in terms of more efficient construction practices, not only in the houses themselves, but in the factories that are producing these materials. And so really see factory-built housing as an exciting opportunity to help address the state's housing and climate crises simultaneously. This new round of the program, we are really looking to develop regional offsite construction strategies. So supporting the development of regional coalitions that include the manufacturers of housing, also developers, local governments, RENs potentially. I was speaking to someone from a REN yesterday about potential synergies there with their work to look at this in a more holistic way. So we're offering two grant types, one of up to $500,000 for initial planning, formative exercises there, and then up to $3 million for planning grants, which are really should be called an implementation grant, moving from planning into implementation phase. There's more information available on our website. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. But other than that, excited to have this out in the world. Thanks, Angie.
Right. I know a lot of hard work was put into that. Thank you for sharing it, and thanks for popping in. He's got to run to his next meeting. So folks, we will make sure you get the link to that program. And, think about it in terms of your climate action strategies and how it might fit. All right. So those are our spotlights. I hope you're not dizzy. We get to take a slightly slower breath and have a longer conversation with our featured speaker today, who is Emily Alvarez. She's with Stop Waste. She's a program manager, and she works with Bayren to talk about the new statewide home energy score program. So thanks so much for joining us, Emily.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here. So we can go to the next slide, but basically I'm here to talk about Bayren's new statewide home energy score program. I think I presented to this group, I don't know, 2 years ago. So maybe some of it will sound a little bit familiar, but hopefully there's some new and exciting updates. Next slide. So a little bit about what we've been doing with home energy score in Bayren territory. Hope many of you are familiar with Bayren, but the 1 second overview is that Bayren is one of the first 2 RENs in the state. We serve the 9 Bay Area counties, and the program administrator for Bayren is the Association of Bay Area Governments. We have a suite of 10 energy efficiency programs that we run throughout the Bay Area. Next slide. So one of those programs, which I have had the honor of leading since 2018, is our green labeling program. The goal of this program was to increase the transparency of energy information and also help homeowners understand what that means. That way they could be empowered to take action to make upgrades to their home. It is a voluntary regional program. We began offering home energy scores and fully launched in 2018. We scaled from the Building Emission Savings Ordinance that was passed in Berkeley in 2015, which requires home energy scores at the time of a real estate transaction. We also had previous pilots under both Bayren Single Family Program and Codes and Standards Program before launching on our own. So it has been a decade of home energy score in California already. The main home energy score offerings that we provided under green labeling were training home energy score assessors. We had a $250 rebate for homeowners to get the score, and then the marketing and outreach across all the 9 Bay Area counties. I'll note that the green labeling program as a whole also includes energy efficiency and electrification trainings for real estate professionals. We will continue to offer those in the Bay Area, but those are not expanding statewide because they actually are offered by other RENs and other IOU program administrators. Next slide. So what exactly is home energy score? It is a building asset label developed by the U.S. Department of Energy and its national labs. We often say that a home energy score is similar to a miles per gallon rating for a car, but for your house. It is an asset-based rating, which means that it is looking more at the physical features of the home. How large is it? What is the efficiency and fuel type of your appliances? How much insulation do you have, et cetera, et cetera. And not so much on the user behavior side. This is really helpful because then you can compare one home to another a little bit more evenly. 5 is an average home across the country. 10 would be most efficient, 1 least efficient. But we know occupancy behavior can affect that a lot. So if you have 8 people in a home versus 1 person in a home, it'll be very different, even if the home itself, the features remain the same. So for that reason, we find this to be a really useful label. Next slide. What to expect when a home energy score happens. So it is an in-person simplified assessment, primarily visual. So they will go into the home. It takes about an hour or so to do a home energy score. They collect somewhere between 40 and 60 different data points about the home, needing access to all attics, basements, crawl spaces, inside and outside. It does not include diagnostic testing like blower door tests or duct blasters, but they can also often be added on for an additional fee. And then it also can be input into the home energy score to create a more accurate model. Next slide. I wanted to explain a little bit about the structure of the home energy score program from the sort of DOE side, because I think this relates to why we propose to take it statewide. So these are links for when these slides are sent out, but basically the program is run through what the US DOE calls home energy score partners. Stop Waste is that partner for Bayren. I guess I didn't explain this. I work for Stop Waste, which is the Alameda County representative for Bayren. And so Stop Waste is this regional partner for the Bayren program and will be for the statewide program. The basic role of the partner is to just make sure that the program is running as the DOE intended it to, and to keep up the quality of the program. So assessors must hold a credential from a list that the US DOE sets. There are about 20 to 30 different credentials that can range from being a home inspector to a HERS rater to BPI certified. And seeing that question come in at the chat, I'll ignore that until later. So the DOE holds that assessor list, and we have to then check that an assessor has one of those qualified credentials before they enroll in the program. They have to pass an online training, and then the partner is also responsible for performing a 5% quality assurance check. And really that's to make sure that, again, the scores are quality scores, collecting all the information that they need to be, and that they are not biased, depending on what assessor is going out to the home to do that score. Then I'll note that the Bayren program includes an additional checklist of electrification-specific items that are not in the main home energy score. Because of how important electrification is to the state, we started having that kind of extra list of questions in 2020. And examples of that data are electrical panel capacity, water heater location, stove, dryer, fuel types, and more. And if those are interested in digging into the detailed scoring methodology, there's a link for later. Next slide. A little bit about what we achieved in 2025. We did about 4,300 home energy scores, paid out almost $1 million in incentives. All of our scores included that electrification information, which is technically optional, but it's great to see that most assessors have adopted it. We've worked with 51 individual assessors across 23 different companies. Next slide. And then a little bit about our stats in the decade we've been doing scores. Those green scores at the top of the bar are those Berkeley scores. So again, those mandatory ones. They were pretty much all of our scores in 2015, 16. And we've really grown a lot since then. Being an in-person assessment, we were obviously hit hard by the pandemic, but we've really bounced back quite a bit since then, and hit our peak in 2023. Next slide. I also wanted to show the distribution of scores by county. So the blue bars are the scores in total that we've done per county. But again, the 9 Bay Area counties have very different sizes of single family housing stock. So the little green dots with the percents are the percentage of the single family housing stock that we've scored. So in Alameda County, where both Berkeley and actually Piedmont have time of sale policies, it makes sense that we're getting a much higher saturation rate. But wanted to just point out too that for counties like Solano and Marin, which have a smaller housing stock, they have also, been pretty successful at scoring a decent amount of their homes. This means that we also are creating quite a robust database of, actual in-home information that we hope can be used in better informing policy or program design. Next slide. So now what's happening statewide? Next slide. So Home Energy Score California, which we're almost done with our kind of branding and marketing redesign. There you can see kind of the first page of our new brochure, our new logo, was approved by the California Public Utilities Commission to expand as a statewide program under Bayren's 2024 to 2027 business plan. We are the first non-utility-led statewide ratepayer-funded program and are hoping to bring that kind of local government flair to this in the same way we did with Bayren and the home energy scores we've been doing there. We had our advice letter approved in November of 2024, which authorized a program budget of $9.9 million, funded by all 4 of the major IOUs. Our implementation plan was filed in May of 2025, so that's posted on CEDARS. And then we had our soft launch in January, on January 1st of 2026. So next slide. Explaining what we will offer. So pretty much this is just scaling what we offer in Bayren, but doing it throughout the whole state. So again, recruiting, training, mentoring, quality assurance of assessors. Scores will be voluntary unless a jurisdiction has or decides to pursue a mandate. We can provide support for that if you are interested. We'll still have that $250 rebate for scores, marketing and outreach activities, piloting and policy support, and just also noting that in kind of the CPUC world, we are a market support program, which means we don't claim energy savings. Our goal is to help support, homeowners to have the information, to be more informed, and then hopefully connect them to a program that they could participate in. Next slide. Our timeline. So the end of last year, we were really focused on the report redesign, branding, and then also doing updates to the back end of our database to have the ability to do scores outside of the Bay Area. In January, we launched that new report. So all scores that are happening right now, which are mostly in the Bay Area or all in the Bay Area, have the new report. We've been compiling statewide utility rates and emissions factors. Moving into February, we are trying to get our website updated and again, finalize those marketing materials. I hope our new website will be up and running by the end of February. If you go there right now, it's still kind of some basic information and more of a landing page. In Q2 of 2026, we're hoping, or by the start of Q2, end of Q1, we're really hoping that full functionality to score homes outside the Bay Area is live. So when I mentioned soft launch, we are still, working on that outside the Bay Area functionality. We are close, but at the moment, we really are just still doing scores in the Bay Area, hence the term soft launch. We are also hoping to kind of in Q2 kick into gear the workforce recruitment piece. We have to get all these other back-end pieces done before we can do workforce recruitment. We also can't promote the score widely, of course, until we have the workforce to do the scores. So that's really going to be our focus in spring and summer. And then hopefully Q3, Q4, we'll have those scores start to roll in and we'll be kind of adjusting a targeted marketing and recruitment campaign, an area where there's kind of lower scoring activity happening. And we'll continue that through 2027. It's going to be quite the task to figure out how we grow this program throughout the whole state, but I'm excited for it. Next slide. So I wanted to give a look at what the report looks like, what a homeowner receives. So noting that the goal of this report is to be very easy to understand, provide factual information, but also things that are written in more of a layperson's term. And for that reason, also kind of keep it short. We did not want to provide a homeowner with kind of a 40-page full energy audit that is full of a lot of technical information they may not understand. So I wanted to highlight a few pieces of the report. So if you can click next. First, of course, we are, there's the score itself. We are modeling 3 different scoring scenarios. And so all the kind of data that we provide is modeled through those 3 scenarios. The current score, of course, so what the home is with its existing conditions, Then if they left their heating and cooling and hot water heating equipment the same, but did a full weatherization upgrade. And then if they made those weatherization upgrades, but also went all electric. Next slide. Yeah. So then what we also then are using that utility information I mentioned to model estimated annual energy costs for those 3 scenarios. Next. And then carbon emissions for that home. So for this particular home, sorry. For this particular home, you can get down to carbon neutral if they go to that full home electrification scenario. But this is where you can also see that even with weatherization, we still have those carbon emissions. Next slide. You can click again just once. And then we do have the recommended upgrades. So we give the existing conditions of the home for both those weatherization upgrades and all electric, and then what our recommended improvements are. And then one more is on the last page. We have a bunch of different links in case people need help getting started. And then I'll note that this kind of text underneath that says overview of an all-electric home, we gave all the Bayren territories or Bayren counties an opportunity to provide a little kind of custom half page that provides more information about what the county does. So this is an example of Santa Clara's. Next slide. So my kind of call to action here again is this workforce recruitment piece. We really are looking for people who want to help us out with this. So again, we can't widely market the program to homeowners till we have the people who can go out and do the scores. Noting that assessors can enroll anytime on demand, but then we also have the budget for several in-person recruitment events. We like these because they provide an opportunity to kind of target outreach, develop some excitement for this, and it also gives us the ability to do a group mentoring session, because again, one of the other things we have to do as a partner is all of our assessors have to go through mentoring scores before they can go out and score on their own. So we do that in a big group. We're starting recruitment kind of slowly with local partners, which include existing Bay Area assessors who are interested in doing scores outside of the Bay Area, local governments, RENs, CCAs, really anyone who wants to partner with us. Our first recruitment event is tentatively scheduled in April with the city of San Luis Obispo. So thanks, Chris, and your team for being first up for this. And then again, once we kind of see where assessors are enrolling naturally and where we need to drum up some more excitement, we'll be hoping to shift. And then again, deprioritizing the Bay Area until further notice, since we have a pretty solid workforce here. But they're still allowed to enroll kind of on their own. But we're just not going to be doing targeted recruitment in the Bay Area until we get going anywhere else. So if you are a local government who's excited about this and want to help us, if you're a REN that has a workforce program or are excited about helping us, you can reach out to me, even if you don't know exactly what that looks like. We can get on a call and we can figure it out together. Next slide. I think that's it. Yes. So if you want to reach out to me, then here's my phone number, my email address. That homescoresca.org is our website. If you go there now, it's a lot of, again, kind of basic information. But if you go to it in early March, hopefully it'll be a beautiful, new, built out website. All right, that's it. I know there were a bunch of questions that came up.
Yeah.
Is someone gonna? Great.
I can help moderate that for you. Thanks, Emily. That was great. And congratulations, Bayren. You sort of live in the dream here that you scaled up. You scaled up a successful program, which we love to see. Jane, if you have anything to add to that, just raise your hand. But Jane here with Bayren. All right, I do see some questions in the chat, so let's just kind of go through those. We'll try one by one. The first question, Dan's asking, how much does a score cost before rebate?
Yeah, on average, it costs about $350 if it's a standalone offering. So the $250 covers a good chunk of that. We don't get involved with pricing. So I think there is, it is up to the assessors. We often will see them added on to something else they're doing in the home, like a HERS rating or a home inspection. And in those cases, they will often do it for the $250 rebate, because obviously there's an efficiency if they're already at the home. But on a standalone score, I think our average is hanging around $350.
Okay, and then here's the question that made you laugh in the middle. Is the DOE going to kill the HES program? Do we know what's happening?
I mean, I think we all agree that it is impossible to feel fully confident in anything this administration does. But we work very closely with the Home Energy Score team at DOE, with the national labs that create the software. They are all still intact. And at the moment, there's kind of no signs that this is going away. So we're continuing on.
Yeah. All right. Stay under the radar, right? The next question here is, would it be possible to do the Home Energy Score virtually, NREN? So that's North Rural Energy Regional Energy Network. Territory is quite large and in-home assessments not always feasible.
Great question. Because the DOE sets the requirements, they at the moment do not have the program approved for remote assessments. If they change that, we can take a look at whether we can incorporate it. So yeah, at the moment, no, it could change. It's also out of our hands. And I think what we would be more interested in, since this question has come up a lot, are the idea of somehow a virtual score where you still have like a certified home energy score assessor doing it or involved somehow. Just have not seen a ton of like interest in like the DIY version, like homeowner DIY version. So yeah, at the moment, no, but maybe in the future.
Okay, let's see. I see a question. Where is the list of scoring providers?
So that's still living on Bayren's website. So if you go to bayren.org, there's kind of a link at the top of the page that says, I think, find a home energy score assessor. So that's where our current list is. That kind of find a home energy score assessor, same kind of tool will translate to homescoreca.org in time, and obviously have our outside of the Bay Area assessors on it.
Right. Maybe somebody, if anybody's around to drop that link in, that would be great. Next question, Ursula is asking, how much of the cost is expected to be covered by the two? Oh, you kind of covered that already. All right, we got that one down. You might have covered this one a bit too, but they're asking who can participate? REN, CBOs, CCAs. Is there anything more clear you can tell us about like how to participate and who?
Well, yeah, from the homeowner side, as long as you're a customer of one of the investor-owned utilities, because again, this is a ratepayer-funded program, they are eligible to participate. On the PA or program administrator side or partner side, yeah, I mean, we welcome collaboration from anyone who wants to help us get the word out.
Hey, would tribes be eligible as long as they're in IOU territory?
Yeah.
I might have thoughts for you. Okay, and then Catherine, thank you. She is offering to brainstorm marketing and growth strategies. All right. Luke's asking, do we have a front page comparison of estimated cost of weatherization versus full home electrification, or too specific to each home to calculate that?
I guess I'd be curious what you mean by front page comparison. So I know it was small to see, but when we send the slides out, you'll be able to see it a little bit larger. But we do have those kind of 3 scenario costs compared. The current home weatherization plus electrification. And to be honest, a lot of what that looks like is based on also electricity rates. The example up there, it's a municipal utility, so you do get a good cost savings with the full home electrification, but there are situations where providing that last model, if you're in a place, like most of us with very high utility rates, sometimes we are seeing that electrification scenario cost increase. I would say most of the time it's fairly minor. And if the home has solar, it also takes that into account with the costs. But it is sort of showing, how those really high electricity rates are not necessarily our friend for electrification from a cost perspective.
Cooper is asking, how do the need help getting started links get populated? Can we be added?
So they are right now, the two first links of a Bayren link and a switches on link are across all the reports, although we will be trying to replace that Bayren link with something else that obviously applies statewide. The second two links are a link to like a county sustainability page wherever that score is happening. So that switches out depending on where the score is. And the last one is whatever the utility is. So in the one I showed, it's Silicon Valley Power. So then that's going to their website. So we do have kind of some availability to switch out. But right now we are pointing to all kind of public, like kind of available programs or public run programs. And we're not pointing to any kind of private companies. I'm not saying we never would, but we are trying to point people to other resources. So the good news is that if you are on like Bayren's kind of incentive finder page or switches on incentive finder page, they can get to you that way, even if it's not direct.
Okay, great. There's some really good links being shared here in the chat. We got a couple more questions. There's a question, are there any assessors outside of SF Bay Area yet?
Complicated question. We have been doing a pilot. Well, okay, our implementer Earth Advantage has been doing a pilot with Yolo County and the city of Davis for a little bit. And so we do actually have some scoring activity, or will have some scoring activity happening in that area soon. We also did a small pilot 2 years ago with the PG&E statewide program that was focused in San Diego County. So technically we have a few enrolled assessors there, although I think they'd need to renew their certification. But yeah, unfortunately, the launch of this was delayed. We were really hoping that we would already have started some workforce at the end of last year. So there's not many assessors outside of the Bay at this point.
I don't think you need to be apologetic about that. You are getting started, and that's why you're here to talk, right? You are trying to find those assessors all around the state. You're looking for people to help. What other last words do you have for us? What is a call to action to folks on this call? How can they help make this successful?
Well, first I want to answer Alice's question, I think, which is that at the moment in the city of Berkeley, we don't provide a rebate for them because the assessment is required. Typically we don't provide rebates for things that are policy. So it is to say that if more jurisdictions were to start passing time of sale policies, we would have to figure out a way to probably phase out rebates over time, but are happy to provide those rebates in the beginning to get things started. And that is what happened with Berkeley. And there is like a rebate form that is submitted by the assessor. And the rebate comes from Bayren, not the federal government. It is a ratepayer funded program. So I just wanted to clarify that. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. I want to see it succeed statewide. And in order to do that, we need partners. Like I said, I want us to, over time, figure out how to infuse our kind of local government flair into this statewide program as the first government-led statewide program, which sometimes feels a little weird, but want to do this in partnership with kind of other government agencies. So if it's interesting to you at all, like I said, reach out to me and we can have a discussion on what that could mean for you.
Sounds great. Emily, we're very happy at SEEK to obviously be sharing this in all the ways that we can with our network. So everybody say thanks to Emily for coming and speaking with us, sharing her program. And again, congrats on the launch. There's a lot of interest in that, so I think it's going to go well. All right, we have just one more item before we wrap today. If we want to go to our next slide, I'm actually going to pass it over to Kelsey to tell us a little bit of an update on CCEC Forum.
Hey everybody, if you haven't seen it already, we did extend our deadline for our call for session proposals to this Friday instead of last Friday. So if you didn't make the deadline last Friday or wanted to take a little bit more time, great. And we look forward to seeing your proposals come in by the end of the day this Friday.
Okay, get excited. We want a record-breaking call for session proposals, and save that date, June 24th and 25th in LA. That's 17th Annual CCEC Forum. All right, let's go to our next slide. Actually, any questions for Kelsey on call for session proposals? All right, well, you know where to find us. And Kelsey this year has been offering some office hours, which has been really nice for people. Okay, well, let's just wrap up. That was a meaty conversation. Thanks again for coming as always. You know what was great about today and the last few is folks are sending information our way and giving us ideas for what we should be sharing. So please feel free to do that. If you hear of a program you want to hear more about, or if you have an offering, something that can help advance energy and climate at the local level, send it our way and we're happy to try to make some room for you. Our next meeting is going to be March 10th and we welcome you to invite your friends. This continues to grow. We had a great showing today. So thank you so much for being here. We will see you next time. And if you are around, even though we're not quite to the top of the hour, we're going to transition over to our bonus breakout. And this is basically our informal time that we leave about 15 minutes extra at the end of the meeting for folks that want to raise an issue, an announcement, a question for the hive brain,